My roommate moved her boyfriend into our house without asking, and when I told her he needed to leave, she said she feels threatened by me and needs him here for protection. Then I looked in his car and it's completely filled with clothes like he's homeless. Posted by you/EricSanderson. My, male, longtime friend, female, and I have been renting a house together for 2 months now. We're both on the lease, but I paid the deposit, move-in costs, and pay roughly 75% of all living expenses. Yes, I know this is dumb. My friend doesn't make much money and was in a bad situation, and she couldn't live here without being on the lease. We've lived together for almost 3 years and it's been fantastic. I had moved to a new city and she knew lots of people and has helped me establish a social life. I had no problem with the arrangement until now. She recently suddenly and tragically lost her dog, who was like a child to her, and has been spiraling ever since. Drinking all the time, starting fights and hurling insults, etc. We had basically stopped talking when, about a month ago, she met some random guy. I don't know much about him, but what I've seen isn't great. 2 weeks ago she got a DUI and this guy bailed her out. The next day he came back to our house with her and spent much of the day. He then started coming here every day, taking up the living room, walking around with no shirt on, etc. I avoided them as much as I could and we never exchanged words. The guy gives me the creeps. He's large, maybe 6 feet 4 inches and on the heavier side. And his vibe is just, I don't know, off. 6 days ago the guy spent the night here. Then he stayed over the next night. Then the next night. The following morning I told my roommate that it's not cool to be taking up the house and having her boyfriend stay over for long stretches. I told her he made me uncomfortable, and she basically said it's her boyfriend and her house and she can do what she wanted. On the 5th morning, yesterday, I saw that he had toiletries in our bathroom. I told my roommate it seemed like her boyfriend is attempting to stay here long term, and pointed out that our lease has limits on guests staying over, 14 nights in a 6-month period. This is where things changed, and where I need advice. My roommate has now started to say things like I feel threatened and I feel unsafe and I need my boyfriend here for protection. There's no truth to them at all. I've been leaving the house every evening after work and only coming home around 11 or 12, and I completely avoid all contact with both of them. The only contact we've ever had was one evening when I came home around 11, and they were smoking weed on our front porch. He was once again basically in his underwear, and I asked him to please wear clothes when he's in the common areas of the house. That's all I've ever said to him. It seems like she's using this as some kind of legal or defense strategy, and planning to tell our agent and owners that I'm some kind of danger to her and she needs her boyfriend here for protection when they tell her he needs to go. Yesterday her boyfriend showed up at 4 p.m., while I was still working from home, and spent the rest of the day and night here. He's literally waking up, going to work, and coming back to our home. He's living here. So I got curious. Last night when I got home I looked through the window into his SUV. It's filled. I mean filled with clothes and hangers. It looks exactly like a car that someone is living out of. Maybe I'm being crazy, but it seems like this dude is homeless and is manipulating my roommate into moving into our house. Her shift in language, all the talk about threats and protection, isn't like her, and it's completely divorced from reality. It seems like she's being coached. I've spoken with our agent, who I'm friendly with, and she's aware of the situation. She's seen the guy's car here every day and will be messaging my roommate about the guest rules today. My concern is that my roommate is going to start lying and accusing me of making her feel unsafe, telling the agent that she needs her boyfriend here for protection. I'm not super concerned that it's going to work, but I am concerned that the agent and owners are going to look at this situation and decide it's not worth it and just cancel the lease. I really like this house and don't want to have to move. I've already changed the Wi-Fi password. I pay all utilities. And locked up all of my possessions, which include plates, cookware, and all silverware. I'm just out of options at this point and wondering if anyone has been in a similar situation. Edit, I should mention that the agent is basically our landlord. It's a direct home rental from the owners, and she is the middleman who handles all renter issues. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I'd immediately demand the rent split to go back to 50-50 at the very least if he's going to stay there. You're literally subsidizing housing for 2 people. They can't make their half of the rent between the 2 of them? Ops response, I did. I sent her an email when we first stopped talking explaining that she's going to be responsible for 50%. I attached all of our utility bills and gave her a total due on the 1st. She's made it clear she's not going to pay it, but I have documentation. I could take her to small claims court eventually, but for now I'm worried about getting this guy out. Commenter 2, you need to tell your roommate that it's time for her to move along. This has gone past the point where you could repair the situation without kicking her out. I would also tell her the guy needs to be gone immediately or you will get the police involved. Ignore her arguments. You are the one that doesn't feel safe and that's all the justification you need. Let your landlord know that you would like to stay on and are looking for a new roommate. You are risking losing the place, but that's a risk if you don't do anything as well. Chances are if you've been a good tenant, your landlord will work with you to get your roommate out and allow you to keep living there. Ops response, I've told her to leave numerous times. She refuses. She says she's on the lease and this is her house. The landlord is going to have to force her out or I'm going to have to break the lease, which I don't want to do. The guy is still technically not violating the law. She's inviting him here. Can't call the cops. Plus police activity at the home will basically guarantee that I'm getting kicked out too. Commenter 3, you need to tell the landlord now. Do not let this guy get tenant rights because then all of you will go through eviction. Not to mention him being over can potentially mean you're violating the lease and get you evicted. Stop paying her freaking share. Get a backbone. Enough. You need to document everything. If you are in a one-party consent state, always have your phone to record. Ops response, it's two-party consent here unfortunately. I'm documenting everything through texts, but now she's saying that the texts are harassment. I informed her the payment arrangement has changed and she's responsible for 50% moving forward. I emailed her the bills and an invoice. She won't pay it, but I could eventually take her to small claims if I wanted. Op on breaking the lease, it took me a long time to find this house and I've only been in it for 2 months. I dropped $6,000 to move in and will lose a ton by breaking the lease. I don't have another $6,000 to move to a new house, so I'd be looking at voluntarily losing thousands of dollars just to move from a nice home into a crappy apartment. That's my last resort at this point. Update, 2 months later. Just as we were moving, her dog passed unexpectedly and tragically, and it broke her. She started seeing this weird guy and shortly thereafter got a DUI. He bailed her out, and suddenly started basically living at our house. He had a toothbrush in the bathroom, clothes in the house, etc. He'd be here with her from 3 p.m. on, stay over, shower here, leave in the morning, and come right back. They also trashed the kitchen and bathroom on a daily basis, forcing me to clean up after them just to be able to cook and shower. I was begging her to stop but she refused and our friendship collapsed. Things became extremely antagonistic. Our landlord, who lives next door, repeatedly reminded her that our lease prohibits guests from staying over more than 14 times in a 6-month period. My roommate started lying, saying that she didn't feel safe around me and needed him here for protection. Then I noticed his car was filled with clothes, dozens and dozens of hangers with shirts, pants, shoes, etc., and it became clear he was never actually going to another home. He was just living here. Unfortunately, we never had a signed rental agreement between us, so I was stuck paying 75% of the bills while she and her boyfriend basically took over the house. She made it clear she was not going to leave or break the lease. She knew neither of them could get a place on their own. And I didn't know what to do. I changed the Wi-Fi password, locked up all the pots, pans, and dishes. They were all mine. Hid all of my laundry detergent and dryer sheets, etc. They had no TV, no internet, and were using a cheap, $3 sauté pan and paper plates to cook with, but they kept on living here. Luckily, I've been friends with our landlord since we moved in and she was just as upset with him living at the house as I was. So she sent my roommate a formal notification that, if the boyfriend stayed over beyond 14 days, they would evict us. My roommate said she understood and that he would be gone after the 14th day. But, sure enough, on day 15 he was right back at the house. We had a confrontation, which I filmed, and her boyfriend charged at me and tried to attack me, but my roommate held him back. I was actually kind of hoping he would hit me so I could get the cops involved, but he just stormed out and slammed our door. I spoke with a cop friend and she told me it unfortunately wasn't enough to seek a protection order. After that he stopped staying over but continued to basically live at our house, arriving around 3 p.m. and leaving at 11 or 12. I was miserable, and basically just accepted the fact that this would be my life until the lease ended next summer. But 2 weeks ago I finally caught a break. She messed up and had her boyfriend stay over again. I documented it and sent proof to the landlord, and she texted me back saying woohoo. You're free. An hour later she sent both of us a notice of eviction, instructing us that we both had to be out by the end of October. My roommate and I happened to be at the same sports bar, a huge multi-story place with dozens of mutual friends, when the notice came in, and she came upstairs screaming at me, cursing me off and telling everyone that I had gotten us evicted because I went whining to the landlord. She and her boyfriend left and went to the landlord's house, freaking out and saying that she's going to be homeless and won't be able to rent a place with an eviction on her record. She actually tried to convince the landlord to just evict me and let her boyfriend move in instead, saying that I was the one causing all the problems. The landlord said no dice, but told her she could avoid the eviction if she agreed to break the lease, move out at the end of the month, and didn't have her boyfriend over at all in the meantime. If he showed up, the landlord said she would immediately send a 7-day eviction notice and we'd be out within a week. After that my roommate and her boyfriend basically disappeared. I think at first she might have thought that if they stayed away for a bit things might cool down and he could start coming to the house again. But at some point something must have changed. Either they realized there was no path forward or they found someone else to stay with. I don't really know. But about a week ago they came to the house and started packing up some of her stuff from the garage. And yesterday my landlord said my roommate had agreed to break the lease at the end of the month. I just signed a new lease today, and will officially have my home back on November 1st. Not sure what the lesson is. Definitely be cool with your landlord, and always sign a separate rental agreement with your roommate or roommates before you enter into a lease together. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, this was a long-time friend or just 3 years? It's really sad that the friendship just went to shit. Did you ever have like a heart-to-heart before things got as bad as they did to see why the sudden changes and how she was treating you? I know it sucks losing a pet, but throwing away a long-term friendship over it is odd. Ops response, we've been friends for many years. We had one period after moving in where we had a heart-to-heart and she agreed to start being more respectful. It lasted for 2 days. It may have started with her dog, but it became all about the boyfriend. It's one of those high school, codependent, us against the world kind of relationships. She lost her license, so she spends literally every free minute of every single day with him. She's now extremely self-centered, mean, disrespectful, and completely lost to the world. It's really sad, but she's not the girl I knew anymore. Commenter 2, glad they're getting out. Now have your landlord change the locks the minute the end of the month happens. Your ex-friend did you wrong in so many ways. Sorry, I know how it feels. Ops response, thanks for saying that. Honestly. I know I'm making light of it, but the past 2 months have been heck.